Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pursuit of Progress podcast. Most people, they start slowing down around November. The holidays are coming in, business cools off, and everybody starts saying, I'll pick things back up in January. But here is the truth. Champions, they don't wait for January. They hit the gas when everyone else is tapping the brakes. The difference between finishing strong and fading out, it's not talent, it's momentum. And momentum doesn't just happen, it's built. It's built through small, intentional actions when others stop showing up. I've seen it firsthand in real estate. Some agents go dark for the holidays while others double down, and those are the ones who start January already winning. So today, we're going to be talking about how to finish the year like a champion with focus, intention, and a few simple habits that'll make 2026 your best year yet. Super excited to be here with my co-host, Ben. Let's dive in. What's up, bud?
Oh, let's dive in. I love this. I have a mission to make every year my best year ever. 2025, best year ever. But you know what? In 2026, let's do it again. Let's repeat.
I like that. You have some big shoes to fill. I think last year was pretty good, right?
Last year was good. I'm so blessed. It doesn't mean that we don't have problems, we don't have challenges, but what are we doing? What's our trajectory? Are we growing? Are we building? Are we developing ourselves? Are we planning for the future? Are we pursuing freedom and getting rid of those things that hold us back? And that's something that I'm very intentional with. I think about it every day. But, in our industry, we have ups and downs with mortgage, real estate, sales, commissions. Every year is not going to be a record year financially. And these last couple of years, no doubt they've been challenging, but still feel so blessed, so hungry, and can't wait for 2026. Bring it
Yeah.
on.
Let's do
Bring it
this.
on.
Well, it'll be here before we know it. And that's why we've got a few episodes, including this one today, that'll really be helping our audience kick it into gear before the start of the new year, get a little head start on everybody else that's slacking these last, month to two before the end of the year. So let's just jump right into this, Ben. Talk to us first about, we've prepared a few different talking points. This first one about the psychology of the finish line.
Yeah, let's pick it up there. I'm sure a lot of you are, if you're fans of In Pursuit, the Pursuit of Progress podcast, then you're probably a fan of Ed Milet. So this is one of the things that he says. Elite performers don't slow down at the finish line. They sprint through it. That's what separates average from exceptional. And I can relate to that so much. Just being so involved athletically with how we work out, with what my kids are doing. I'm an assistant cross country coach. Sprint through that finish line. Don't slow down. You get it in your sights, sprint through it. And it's crazy to think that we're talking about 2026, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's nuts.
And I think that this is a time of year that you need to be very conscious of, because it's so easy to let off that gas pedal. We have Veterans Day coming up. We have Thanksgiving. We have, Christmas, New Year's, all within a very short time frame. There's a lot of family fun, a lot of family activities, food, a lot of time off. And so it's very easy to not be intentional or maybe let up a little bit. But remember, it's about that momentum. And I'm talking to my kids about that all the time, and really just so many different people. You don't want to lose that momentum. That's why when I go on vacation or I take time off, if I'm traveling, I don't want to stop going to the gym and getting out of my routine, because at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. I would rather go lift in the morning, run in the evening, even when I'm on vacation, because if I take 10 days off and then I have to get back in that routine and recapture that momentum, I don't like that feeling. Like I didn't make progress, or I atrophied with my momentum and my muscles. And so I've just learned that over the years. Um, but let me ask you this: when it comes to getting burned out, it's usually not because of effort; it's because of lack of progress. And so, if you don't want to get burned out, make sure that you're realizing that progress and keeping it up. Sometimes when maybe you have a project that you're doing. Grace and I, for example, we're working on this new venture that we have called Future Funded. And we've had a couple of distractions lately. My brother came into town for a week, and my daughter had her state meet. So we didn't get to spend as much time on that as we would have liked. And again, just going back to that momentum, it feels like we haven't done a whole lot, but you just got to get back in the habit. If you've lost it, just get back in the habit, get back uh, like Top Gun. We got to get them back up again.
It's crazy how quickly you can lose it and how much more difficult it is to get that ball rolling again. That big boulder, the hardest part is just getting it to start moving again. But once you get it moving, it starts going quicker and quicker, and it's just easy to maintain. But totally agree with you on that.
The launch is always the most difficult. It's getting started is what's most difficult. When someone is out of shape and they've never run before, well, you're probably overweight. You don't have the experience of running. So those very first miles that you're ever going to run are truly going to be the most difficult. If you can make it through that first week, that second week is going to be easier. If you can make it through the second week, the third week is going to be easier. Momentum.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, anything else you want to talk about on that before we move on?
Yeah, I want you. I want to ask another question, and this is more a question to ask yourself. What if the next 60 days became the reason you crush next year? Just think about that.
Yeah, very
This stuff doesn't
insightful.
happen on accident.
And just thinking through on, let's just say January 1, having already that momentum started where a momentum is already built up. So on day one, you're already in third gear. You're not even dealing with getting ready and prepared.
Mhm.
You've already got, momentum on your side. And how much further can you be ahead of your competition, just further along in the goals that you're trying to achieve? 1000% agree with that.
And I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make. They wait till January 1 and they try and figure out what is the plan. Well, what am I supposed to do? What are my days supposed to look like? What is that structure? What habits? What does that look like? And if you've already developed that out and you're already in flow and in rhythm, that's a huge head start.
Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, how many people even get started on January 1? January 1 becomes January 15th, and before you know it, it's March, just never losing it, just keeping it going. Even if it's at a
New
slower
Year's
pace,
Day,
just keeping that
uh,
momentum going.
NFL playoffs, college football, family get togethers, and then it turns into 2 days, the 23rd and the 24th of January. Eh,
Yep. Let's move on. I want to share with you guys something that I learned through the EOS program, which is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. If you guys haven't ever heard of that, it's worth checking out. Whether you're an entrepreneur, or even an entrepreneur within another business, there's a lot of really good structure behind being organized and being able to really kind of brain dump out of your head what your goals are and then building those into what we like to call rocks. So, this point that I want to help you guys with today is about setting your big rock. So, a challenge for you, depending on when you're listening to this. We're recording this here in the beginning of November. So, we've got about 8 weeks left before the end of the year. The challenge for you guys, if it's about that amount of time, is just picking one measurable goal to complete before December 31st. Not five, not three. Just have a dedicated focus on just one big rock. In business, maybe it's following up with every past client, or maybe finishing a project that you've been avoiding throughout throughout the year so far. In health, maybe it's hitting 20 workouts before the new year. Trying to go 2 to 3 times a week for the next 2 months, whatever it may be. In personal life, could be something simple like just reading one meaningful book cover to cover. John Maxwell, another guy that I know Ben is a huge fan of, he always says, small disciplines repeated with consistency lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. And how true is that? So just stop trying to do everything. Just do one thing completely. Choose that big rock, write it somewhere that you're going to see on a daily basis, and just commit to finishing it. Because you keep promises to yourself, that's when you build confidence to keep bigger ones later on.
so true, isn't it? When you keep the promises to yourself, that's where the confidence comes from. I think we've all made the mistake of not keeping those promises to ourselves, and then you don't feel good about yourself.
Uh-huh.
Now, let me ask you this on the big rocks. You gave a couple different examples there. Is a big rock to you, is that usually like one big goal or like a big vision, a big
Yes.
milestone, or is it more of like uh, things that you're gonna like a big rock in the sense that I want to go to the gym every day?
So typically a rock is something that's going to take a quarter of the year to finish. So a 3 month type project. So obviously we're not quite with that much time remaining in this year, but you can still use the same principle towards just something that's larger than something you can accomplish in a day or even a week. So it's something that's got to be big enough where there's going to be some logistics behind breaking that rock down into then weekly pebbles or, smaller sized rocks that are just still progressing you towards that big rock. So it just has to be something bigger than just something that you're already doing on a daily or weekly basis, something different that's bigger, more of a, if it's business related, I like to think of it as something that's working on your business instead of in your business, a new way to generate maybe revenue in the new year or whatever it might be for what your guys' specific case.
I've heard you talk about BHAGs before, big, hairy, audacious goals. Would you put this in that same category or?
No, I consider a BHAG a goal that's going to take you really at a minimum 3 to 5 years, but even in some cases 10 years. It's something that's so big, big, hairy, and audacious. Something that's so massive that it's almost hard to even comprehend. But the point of that is with that goal, then you have to start thinking big picture. How can I reverse engineer from that 10-year goal? What do I need to have accomplished in 5 years? What do I have to have accomplished in order to get to that point in 5 years? What do I have to accomplish by the end of this next year? And then you continue to break those all the way down into more measurable tasks or projects, which could be considered rocks.
Okay,
But just
that's
having a
great.
bigger goal, having a North Star, even if it seems unrealistic. Maybe you guys are on your first week of your new business. Maybe it's a brand new startup. You haven't even come up with a brand logo yet. You can still have these big, hairy, audacious goals just to help you formulate the direction you need to be going to one day achieve that. And I know, Ben, I always goober up this quote, but I know you're better at memorizing this one than I am about you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish in 5 years. And say that one again. I know as soon as I started saying, I know I'm already messing it up.
Yeah, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years.
Yeah. So a good example of that is with this BHAG.
Okay. Yeah, that's so great. What I'm hearing is like the BHAGs are more like vision over the next 10 years. But then I like the fact that the rocks, you have something to focus on quarterly, like you mentioned. And so the
Hmm.
little pebbles then are things that would be in line, maybe daily activities, habits, things that you need to do daily to then hit that rock.
Hmm. Yep.
Okay, great. Well, let's chat about weekly wins. Once you've set your big rock, you need rhythm that's going to keep you moving. And we got to celebrate those weekly wins. I think that's so important. We focus on the work, the discipline, the habits, but we also got to recognize the efforts that we're making and just staying through, staying on track, following through on the journey. Every Friday, take 10 minutes to answer 3 questions. What worked? Question number 2, what didn't? And question number 3, what will I do next week? And remember, it's not complicated. I think a lot of us want to overcomplicate some of this sometimes, but the reason we want to ask ourselves those questions is so this stays top of mind and we have a heightened awareness around it because awareness is what drives action. When you do this consistently, you start to see the patterns. You stop guessing why things aren't working and start adjusting faster. Progress isn't a feeling, it's a pattern. So when you review, refine, and repeat each week, you're not just checking boxes, you're training yourself to grow with intention. And by the time that January comes around, kind of as we were talking about earlier, you won't need to start over. You'll already be in motion while everyone else is still warming up. And that's what I love about this. When you set these goals 60 days in advance, you're already in motion. You already have that momentum built out, and everyone else is scrambling. What's my goal? What's my resolution going to be for this year?
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I think like most people, they're just going to coast to December 31st, tell themselves they'll get serious in January. But you guys can decide that the next 60 days, give or take, do actually matter. This isn't about working harder, it's about working with intention. And because of this, when 2026 arrives, you're going to either be ready or for a lot of us, they're going to be starting over
Yeah.
every single January. They have the same 20 pounds that they've lost every single year, meaning that they lose it, then they gain it back, and then they lose it again. Get out of that kind of restarting phase and just stay consistent. Finish the year like a champion, pick that one big rock, track your weekly wins, and then sprint all the way through that finish line. And if you guys want help building a simple kind of like a customized plan to help end 2025 on a really strong note, I would love the opportunity to connect with you guys, book a free strategy session. You can do it actually at my website at adamsillsdenver.com. And together we can just kind of walk through some of this together, identifying what that big rock might be for you, map out some of your exact steps needed to create that unstoppable momentum heading into 2026.
Sign me up for that. Adam Sills Denver. I'm gonna book a coaching call with you. The way that I think about it is, build out that consistency and then sprinkle in some intention. Sprinkle in, where you're a chef, you're baking a cake here. Sprinkle in some more focus.
I like that.
You build out the consistency and then I'm going to be a little bit more intentional. I'm going to be a little bit more focused now when I do this. And wow, man, if you're not getting the results that you want, this is a conversation that I have with myself pretty frequently. If I'm not getting the results that I want and I desire, if I want different output, I have to change my input. And so if I don't like the results that I'm getting, I have to change my behavior.
Mm-hmm. Very well said. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to The Pursuit of Progress. Remember, motivation fades, but momentum compounds. Don't wait for January to become your best self. Start now, build the habits, finish the year strong, and step into 2026 already ahead. I'm Adam Lang with my co-host Ben Adams. And as always, keep pursuing progress.
Love you guys. We'll see you next week.